So we just have to do the
All right.
485 slides.
Good evening, everybody. So we're going to get through chapter 20, because there's only 17 slides at 20. So we're going to try to knock through 20 and maybe go ahead and knock out 21. So 2 in a row. All right. And if we do that, I got even better news. We won't have class on Friday. Did you hear that, Travis?
Yeah, sounds good.
We won't have class on Friday if we can knock it out. So that's what we're going to shoot for. So that's what I'm shooting for, because if I can knock out 2, we're done. All right. So tonight we're going to go ahead and continue our discussion. We talked about leasing yesterday. Tonight we're talking about property management. All right. So with property management in this particular situation, like I said, this goes hand in hand with leasing, because oftentimes if you are handling property or leasing, you're also going to be dealing sometimes with property management. So it kind of goes hand in hand. So we're going to describe a property manager's functions, the basic elements of a management agreement. We're also going to explain the property manager's role in budgeting, renting, and maintaining property. We're further going to identify the techniques a manager may use to attract, select, and retain quality tenants, the characteristics of an effective rental collection policy, a property manager's primary responsibilities regarding compliance with customer protection and privacy laws, and we're further going to distinguish the property manager's responsibilities for handling environmental and risk management concerns. So the main thing with property management is the overview is that leasing, managing, marketing, and maintenance of real estate owned by others, okay? So primarily, if you are a property manager, you basically are assuming the role of that landlord, and you're doing everything that they could be doing themselves, okay? So in that situation, you're going to be leasing the property, you're going to manage it, you're going to market it, and you're going to maintenance it, okay? Now, since you're taking that row, Cody, that means that you have very little liability, correct? Wrong, right? What is it actually? What? A ton of liability, okay? Because if Travis gives me his property to manage, and I just kind of, fumble it and just kind of just let it just go to the wayside, the other term is half-a it, okay? Then in that situation, what happens? Well, if I don't take care of Travis's property and he comes down and there's holes in the wall and the flooring is destroyed and it just looks horrible, well, Travis, you gonna be happy about that? No, especially if he just bought the property, okay? So in that situation, his liability is very, very high. And like I told you last night, the return on this is very, very low, okay? So you get very high liability, but very low return, all right? So a lot of people that were in property management stay in property management for a very short period of time, okay? Again, real estate license is required unless a on-site property or apartment manager or an employee of the owner is going to be there. So if, say, for example, Travis hires me and pays me a salary, I'm no longer a real estate agent. Okay, I am acting as an employee of Travis. Okay, and I will tell you, a lot of real estate brokerages, if Travis holds a license, will not want Travis to be an employee of that company, because the thing could be, if there's a lawsuit, they could try to say what Travis was acting in what capacity as a broker, and so they're going to go after the one with what, a lot of money. Okay, so in that situation, and it also kind of flips back and forth, like a owner, Travis may, if he's the owner, he may not want me to have a license, because if I have a license, I'm probably working real estate on the side, and if he's only paying me $100 commission to rent his units, and I can go find other units and get $500, what am I going to start doing with the leads that come into Travis? I'm going to try to convert them somewhere else, okay? So again, there are those different types of situations. Now, again, a property manager is someone who preserves, that's the key word there, preserves the value of an investment property while generating income as an agent for the owners, okay? So in that situation is a property manager basically comes in. They're going to be preserving the value of an investment property while generating, like I said, income as an agent for the owners. And they may be a general agent of the owner, which is sharing the operational liabilities with the owner, or an independent contractor. And that's where basically in that situation, they're bearing almost all of the operational liabilities, okay? So again, that kind of breaks down the difference in regards to the different types. I lost it. In regards to the elements of a management agreement. Now understand there's going to be different things that come into play when dealing with the management agreement. You're going to have the description of the property, the time period, the definition of manager's responsibilities, the statement of the owner's goals, the extent of the manager's authority, the reporting requirements, as well as the compensation and allocation of costs. Every one of these different elements is stipulated within the property management agreement, okay? And it is very important if you work for a brokerage and the brokerage allows you to be a property manager, that you and the property manager go through each one of these elements and both parties understand what's going on, okay? Very, very key in this particular situation. Now, the activities of the property manager, of course, is improving the reputation and physical condition. And so what we're talking about, of course, is if Mr. Eugene, you hire me, do you want me to just kind of worry about my pocketbook and not worry about your profits?
I don't think so. You gotta worry about not my stuff. You're gonna stay on.
Why can't I just take care of myself and not worry about you?
Because it's your job.
Well, it's my job to improve your property.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does that mean I need to pay for it? No. It means I need to make recommendations.
There you go.
Okay. Now, I may say, Mr. Eugene, I really think you should replace all the flooring and paint the walls because it's been probably about 5 years. It really needs it now. Now, if you give me that look and say, yeah, no, well, I gave you the recommendation. You chose not. Now, can you come back to me later down the road and say, well, you know, I'm going to sue you because you didn't tell me about that? No. What did I do? I told you and you refused. Okay. Also, guarding the owner from insurable losses. Okay. You want to try to make certain that as a property manager, this is one thing that a lot of people don't understand. Cody comes to you and says, hey man, I got a property that I have in College Station. I want you to manage it for me. You know, we know each other. And so Aiden's thinking, well, it's a buddy to buddy thing. I got you, Cody. You know, no big deal. So Cody, quote unquote, or Aiden, quote unquote, signs an agreement without telling his broker that he's entering into a property management agreement. Well, what just happened? Well, one thing, Aiden, yeah, he might have had a good rapport, but he might have just ended up put his broker in what? In a huge liability. Okay. So the question now comes to you, Aiden. If now you've signed that contract, guess what you get to do? You get to go out to the property at least 2 times to 3 times a month to make sure that everything's being taken care of. You got to go check on the property 2 to 3 times a month. You've got to go deal with tenants. You've got to go deal with complaints. You got to deal with repairs. You got to deal with all these things for about $50 a month. What'd you say?
Not worth it. Wish I wouldn't have signed.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Now Cody's ecstatic because he don't have to deal with those headaches. He don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So he's paying, you know, $100 a month and half with your broker and half with you. So you get $50. He gets me, I get $50, but I ain't doing it because you signed it. And so now Cody's over here making $2,000 a month, well, $1,900 a month, and you got your little $50 and I got my $50. Sound wonderful, Aiden?
No.
Sounds good to Cody. He's like, heck yeah, okay. Because he gets no headaches and his liability's on who? Me, the broker. Which if Aiden don't do his job, then who's in trouble? I'm going after him because he failed to get me in. Now, one thing I want to explain something is I talk a lot about lawsuits and lawsuits and lawsuits and lawsuits every single class, But the key thing is, Travis, why in the world do I bring that up to people? Is it to scare people out of this industry? No. No. Can you be sued in any job at all? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can be in any single job and be sued. You can be a teacher. You can be just driving your car, going from one place to another and hit somebody, okay? There's a lot of different things in these situations, okay? But again, you need to know about these things so that you understand the ramifications, okay? The potentials that could happen. Now, of course, Aiden, like I said, with you going out there checking, you're doing the second bullet right here. You're guarding that owner from any insurable losses, okay? You can also offer best possible residence and business environments, keeping check on expenditures to ensure costs are kept low, and adjusting rental rates to produce the highest total income to that owner. So in these situations you're going to have to look at these different activities to see what you're getting. Now also, not only do you get to deal with the house itself, Aiden, but you also get to deal with these functions. You get to deal with budgeting expenses. You get to deal with renting the property. You get to deal with the residential retention, which means you want to try to keep those residents staying. You get to maintain the property. You get to handle environmental concerns and also manage the risk. Sound wonderful? For your $50.
Sounds bad.
Yeah, wonderful, right, Miss Linda? I mean, he gets all this work for $50 a month. Ain't that lovely?
No.
Yeah, sounds terrible, don't it, ain't it? Okay, so while I'm saying, like I told y'all yesterday, being a property manager can be great. Don't get me wrong, it can be great if you work for a corporation or you have hundreds of properties that you're managing and you got a full-time person that's dealing with all the repairs and all of that kind of stuff. Wonderful. All right. So, Mr. Eugene, you come in, you say, I want to do property management. I'm going to manage all of Travis's properties. And Travis has 300 properties. Okay. Well, if he's got 300 properties, you probably need a full-time handyman. So you would tell Travis, hey, man, I'm going to be dealing with the management and all. I need somebody that can go fix this stuff. You know, we can repair, have people come out, but it's going to cost you a lot. You need to put a handyman on retainer. So he says, all right, I'll hire Cody as my handyman. Well, then in that situation, it's not so bad because when something breaks, are they calling you? No, who are they calling? They're calling Cody. Cody, are you having to deal with the budgeting and all that stuff and payments and collecting rents? No, because Cody's job's what? Just to focus on repairs. So the calling, collecting, getting rent's on you. So it takes the job and does what? Splits it. Okay? And it makes life a lot easier. But I have dealt with property owners that own a lot, and you tell them, hey, you really need to get a full-time handyman. No, you can handle it. No, I can't. Not if I have 200 properties I'm managing and no person to call. Can't do it. Okay? So property management is only something unless you know what you're dealing with and you're aware of it. Okay? Now, in regards to budgeting expenses, again, you got to set the operating budget. You got to also break down the employees' salaries, the real estate taxes, the property taxes, and the insurance premiums, as well as any capital expenditures. So this is talking more about, like I said, Mr. Eugene, if you were managing multiple or a huge complex, okay, you're going to have employee salaries, you're going to have real estate tax, you're going to be dealing with a lot, okay? But what I'm also talking about, a lot of real estate agents that start into this, they're newbies like y'all, you may have family that may have 1 or 2 properties. And mom and dad or aunt or uncle or somebody wants you, Cody, to manage their property. And of course, you just got your real estate license and you're like giddy that that Miss Linda, your mom, gives you 2 of her properties and you're the manager, quote unquote. So you just accept anything. Well, the thing about this though is, guess what? She really did not help you. What did she end up doing? She just gave her headaches to you and going to pay you very little money for it. Okay? And that's what happened with me. When I first got in real estate, I was trying to get my feet wet. I would take anything. And the first thing that my broker gave me was 2 properties to manage. And I got them. And they were complete heck. Okay? They were terrible. tenants were calling almost at least 2 to 3 times a week. The places were owed, they weren't taken care of, and I had to deal with all of the headaches. Okay, so while it is perfect if you can work in a large corporation, you're going to work for an apartment complex or something like that, this works. But you don't want to really, if that's what I tell people all the time, is you don't want to start a property management company until you have the team set. Does that make sense? See, and another thing is the person that's going to be the property manager needs to be someone that's very well diverse in property management. So for example, if I wanted to start a property management branch within my business, I may say, Travis, I want you to be my property manager. You're going to be the point person to start building that business, that generating that kind of cash flow and all for me. So Travis starts building that business, but what happens is in the beginning, guess what happens? He's going to do a ton of work for what? For very little pay, okay? Do you think, Travis, you're going to have any time to go sell properties, lease properties, or anything else while you're dealing with that? No, it is a full-time job focused on just property management. So when a lot of people will tell me, I get people all the time that come in and they'll say, well, hey, I got somebody that wants us to manage their property. And I'm like, okay, do you know this person? Well, no, they just want us to manage it. Well, I don't really want to deal with that. Why? Because by the time I go through everything, you're going to work probably 40 hours a week for $50 a month, okay? That's not a lot of money, okay? After taxes, it's probably $40. So you're making $10 a week for all the headaches that you deal with. Now, if, coming back to that, if Travis ends up, he drums up 100 properties, well, if there's $50 times 100, how much money are you walking away each month with, Travis? 100 times 50, $5,000, okay? So you got 100 properties at $5,000 a month. Is that really a lot of money? Still no. Still no. But guess what? If he's got 100 properties at $5,000 a month, guess what happens? How much time do you think, Miss Linda, he's going to have to devote to selling properties or any of that kind of stuff?
Very little.
Zippo. No time. None. So very key in these different situations you need to be aware of. Now, we talked about this in the previous class, renting the property. Now, of course, you're going to have to set rental rates, and to figure out what rental rates are, what do you look at, Mr. Aiden? You use what data source to find out what rent's going for?
Use comparative market. Like,
you're going to look at the MLS and do a CMA, basically.
yes.
Okay? You're going to look and see what's going on in the MLS to make a determination what's approximately the rent's going for, okay? Also, the tenant selection process. See, here's the thing that also can be detrimental. You work for one company, Mr. Eugene, you work just for Travis. Well, in that particular situation is all you got to do is say, Travis, all your properties, what do you want us, or tenant, what kind of tenant you want? He comes up, he gives you the deal, that's what I want. Real simple. But Aiden, you now are doing property management, and you're dealing with Cody's and Linda's and Stefan and my property. Are we all going to be on the same page?
No.
Are we all going to want the same tenant?
Nope.
We all want the same credit score?
Nope.
No. So now what ends up happening? You get to do 4 times the work, and now you're getting 200 a month, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, okay? So you get 200 a month, but now you got 4 times the work. Sound fun?
Yeah.
Okay? So that's why that comes into that situation. Further, you have to also follow the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the Fair and Accurate Credit Transaction Act. You have to follow these different rules. There's also the identity theft and privacy laws. The FTC privacy rule best practices is you always want to get permission from the rental to give out info, okay? It's to get the request in writing from third parties. You always want to make certain that you have any request, like we said last night, Mr. Eugene, I'm going to give you information from Mr. Jacob. I need to get Mr. Jacob to give me permission to give that information to you, okay? I cannot just willy-nilly share his private information with just anybody when he didn't give me that permission, okay? Texas privacy laws. The owner privacy policy is if the SSN required on the application, and the Identity Theft Enforcement and Protection Act as well as even the U.S. Patriot Act, all of this stuff comes into play that a lot of times, if there is a social security number on that form and it's on the application, then it can only be shared with the individual that it is intended to be given. So if I fill out an application, Miss Linda, and I complete it and I bring it to your office and give it to you, okay, and it is for Travis, he's the listing agent, I'm the tenant, I fill it out, I give it to you, and Travis gets it, does that mean that Travis can go and come back here in this room and all the agents are back in here and he goes, hey, Cody, look, this is Justin's social security number?
No,
Can he do that?
no,
Why can't he do that?
confidentiality,
Well, not confidential, but privacy.
privacy law,
He can't share that. Even if Cody's in the office,
right.
okay? He should not be sharing that with anybody that is not approved on it. Now, most of the time, the form's going to say Nobles Realty Group, Keller Williams, Century 21. It's going to be the brokerage name on the form. So in that situation, anyone within the office that is a licensed agent normally can see that information. It cannot, however, be disclosed to a non-agent. Does that make sense? Okay. However, a manager, like Ms. Linda in this situation, you are authorized to do that. That's fine. But if you're an intern or you're ending up, you're just a staff assistant or stuff like that, it does not apply. Okay, it has to be people that are licensed. Because the thing is if Travis does that and shows my information to Cody, what happens? Well, Travis could lose his license. Okay, what do you lose, Cody? Nothing. You got nothing to lose. So really, in that situation, you got to watch out for these. Now, identity theft and privacy laws in regards to telemarketing. A lot of people will come into real estate. They know it's a sales job. Cody, you work sales job. Did you ever have to, in any of your jobs before, did you have to do any code calling? How do you like doing code calling? Yeah, it's horrible. Okay. Did you have to worry about these things right here? The do not call list?
To an extent.
Yeah. You have to normally, if you want a code call, you have to run it through the code call, the do not call. Like if I want to call Travis, I got to run his number through my database, through the federal database, to see if he is on the do not call. And if he's do not call and I call him, that's a violation. But if he's not on that, what does that mean? Pick it up and I call him. Okay. There's also not only just the federal, but there's a state one. So, Mr. Travis, you may be on the federal, but you may not be on the state. Can I call him then? No, because he's federal. But guess what? What if he's on the Texas do not call list, but not on the federal call list? As long as I'm not where? In Texas. Okay? That's why a lot of times they get
Most
these.
of the telemarketers are.
That's why most of the time they'll get robocallers that are not in the state, and they'll call them because they're not on the federal do not call. Okay. Now, Travis, I know that this one was meant for Aiden. I can see Aiden created this third one here, especially this fax, because Aiden, I know y'all just by the way, Aiden is old school, so he's probably still using a fax machine right now. And I think that's how we have to communicate. Is that how you get through to him, Travis? You have to send him faxes?
I don't like brought me into this. I'm just over here enjoying class. No,
I'm sorry. It's Miss Linda. I'm sorry.
I'm Aiden for no reason.
But no, the fax prevention was this. Actually, no joke. When I was younger and was working in the law firms and all, we literally would get junk faxes. Literally, our fax machine would just constantly just print. So imagine a printer that all it does is just print constantly. How's that sound? What eventually happens to, you got to put what in there, Miss Linda, to make it print?
Ink.
And what else? Ink and paper. So imagine if, I'm picking on Miss Linda now. Aiden, you're a person that's a solicitor, telemarketer, but in not a phone call, you do faxes. So all Aiden does is he sits behind his fax machine and he just sends paper, sends faxes through to Miss Linda. How fun's that, Miss Linda?
I'll turn that darn thing off and unplug it and everything else.
Yeah,
Gotta make my money somehow.
yeah. Could you just imagine, actually going back to that, could you just imagine that job? That's your job. You just get to type the number and then you have to send it through. Like that would have been horrific. Okay. But I will tell you, I just want to let you know, guys and gals, no joke. I'm not kidding. Yes, we are over here in 2021. I'm not joking with y'all. There are still real estate agents that will only accept offers by fax. They will not accept email. They want it through fax, or they want it through you bringing it to their office and giving it to them. They will not take it by email because they don't have. I don't have that fancy, that thing computer. I don't got that fancy kind of thing. I was not that technologically advanced.
I like that type of person.
Yeah, actually, and you won't see that so much in like big cities. But Travis, you probably, as you deal with the rural areas, don't be surprised if even the title companies, some title companies want it by fax. Okay, so the more rural the area, the more you're going to deal with people that still have fax machines. And I'm not joking. I worked for a law firm that we had for a long time. It was faxes. We did everything by fax. Okay. But again, there's a prevention. You cannot, Stefan, you cannot sit behind a fax machine and just send faxes to people.
Oh, that just sounds like so much fun.
I know you and Cody were wanting to do that tomorrow, and I'm sorry y'all are not going to be able to. So y'all can't do that. So Miss Linda, don't get too happy over there. Calm down. I know.
Let's keep going.
Now, what is canned spam? What's that sound like, Dad?
Can of spam, man.
It's a can of spam.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it deals with telemarketing. You can't be giving Travis spam back there.
They're not.
He does not want it in the can. He wants it in his pouch.
Sure. Well, if that's can, I don't have that.
They actually do make pouch spam. You know they got the tuna.
Oh, yeah.
They now have it in spam too.
Oh, God.
So rip it open, start eating. Cody. But no, canned spam is actually talking about emails. Okay, you cannot, and a lot of agents get this wrong. You cannot go over, say for example, Cody, you just got your license and you're ready to start marketing. So you flip open your computer there and you go in and you copy every single email address that you've ever emailed. And you email everybody and say, I'm a realtor, if you need me, call me. Okay? Well, guess what? It's the same thing as that spam or that fax stuff. You're spamming instead of their computer, or their fax machine, you're spamming their email box. I remember before this act came into play, I remember, and my parents probably can tell you, and y'all may even know, I remember that my emails used to, it was nothing to have 1,000 emails in your email every day. Okay. But now, if you're going to do any type of telemarketing through email, you have to state that it's an advertisement, and you have to show a way for them with one click to unsubscribe. Okay. And if you don't have an advanced system that handles that, then you have to end up in that situation. Say, for example, Travis, you decide I want to do this, but I don't want to spend, $60 to $100 a month to have the software package. So he drafts his own emails, he sends them, and then he just keeps an Excel document of all the people he sent them to. Well, Mr. Eugene, if you email him back, because that's how he has it, is email me at this to be unsubscribed, you email him back and say, stop. Well, if Travis accidentally forgets to remove you from that list and he emails you again, that can be up to $1,000 fine. Okay? And if it consistently happens, it can be $1,000 a day. It could be more. Okay? So you got to be very, very careful with these, and that's why you need to talk to your brokerage to see if they don't have some preventative measure. Okay? Collecting rents and residential retention, of course, those are some of the key ones. Maintaining the property, like we already talked about, you need to be making preventative care, repair or correct any issues, routine and construction matters, and handling environmental issues. Okay. Again, risk management, very, very simple. This comes back to even insurance. Do your best to avoid it. Okay. It's kind of like, people do this all the time. As you get older, Mr. or Miss Linda, do you think that it would be a wise idea for you at your age right now, and I'm not picking on, I'm just trying to be honest. Do you think it's a great idea that you should be skydiving right now?
No,
Why?
one, I've never done it.
Uh-huh.
Two, I'm old.
And it's probably in that situation is if you have health issues and all, could it possibly cause more problem for you?
Yes.
Do you think it's a wise idea, Travis, for Mr. Eugene to be climbing a 20-foot tree to get to the top and start cutting it down? Yeah, probably not a good idea.
But he would
Okay.
do it anyway.
Yeah, he would still do it. But the thing is that what are you trying to do? You're trying to mitigate your losses. Because as you get older, there's certain things you can and cannot do. I'm learning that, okay? So avoid it. You can also try your best to control it. Again, if you can, transfer it. There's potential that there might be a loss. Maybe I want to share it with Stefan. Maybe me and him own 2 properties next door to each other. Well, maybe we want to share bringing in a possibly a party wall or something to stop, traffic coming through there or something. Maybe we want to create a fence or something, or retain it. I mean, take control of that risk. Okay. Again, there are common insurance coverage. There's, of course, fire and extended coverage, business interruption, liability, workers' compensation, casualty, surety bonds, and flood and hurricane. Of course, as everybody knows, and Travis told his grandpa this today, what'd you say? If it ends in license or certificate, he probably has it.
Yeah.
Yep, that's pretty much me. I can sell you insurance, I can sell you houses, I can sell you almost anything. But the thing that comes down to this is that it's basically each one of these have benefits. Now, if you're in an area that, your business, say, Mr. Eugene, you have your business and you got a ton of cash sitting in the bank, so you got over $5 million just chilling in the bank, do you really need some of these policies? Probably not, because you've got the money, you can retain some of it. But what if Aiden's starting a car washing business and he's just starting out? Well, do you think you might need some insurance, Aiden? Yeah, because if you say you took Travis's Rolls Royce to go get it detailed and you wreck it, okay, well, do you have the money to fix it?
No.
So you probably need somebody to share in that loss, and so that's why you pay for
As much money as
insurance.
I would typically.
So you see what I'm saying here. Now, of course, you can also get specialty insurance coverage, errors and admissions, which, of course, if you work for a broker, your broker better have this. Lead liability, employment practices liability, liquor liability. We have to have that for Miss Linda. And employee benefits liability. Sometimes on-site pollution liability, tenant discrimination legal expense, and terrorism coverage. Okay, there's many different things, and one of them that I'm not seeing actually up there is computer or cyber liability. That's a new one, because nowadays a lot of people, they have, especially online, a lot of the big businesses, they allow their customers to create memberships or be able to access these websites. Well, what happens if Cody is a cyber criminal? He could hack, Mr. Eugene, your website, and guess what he can get? He can get any and all information about Miss Linda or anybody else, and he can pull it all right off of your website. And because you did not take proper procedures to protect her information, it's now on you, and you can be sued by Miss Linda. Okay? So that's why one of the things when you're creating websites, be very careful, because as you create these websites, make certain that the information you collect is information that ends up, it's not extremely confidential. It's not data that can be detrimental to a person. That's why, do you think it's a wise idea to get a person to fill out their social security number and keep on your website? What about their credit card information? No. These are very, 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 very important things that you watch for, okay? And that cyber stuff is not cheap, by the way. Professional management organizations. There is the Institute of Real Estate Management. There is the Building Owners and Managers Association International. There's also the International Council of Shopping Centers, the National Apartment Association, and the Texas Apartment Association. A lot of real estate agents ask me, well, do I need to join these apartment associations? No, you do not, okay?
People that normally join the apartment associations are people that are not realtors. Now, there are, of course, some that are, but most of the time it's just another fee that you get to pay for. Okay? Not something I would recommend. Okay. All right. So go ahead and let's stop the recording for this one. Stop it.